So, this will be a quick talk, but I just wanted to talk about Chrome extensions because I've been playing with them for a while and they're pretty awesome. So first we'll start off with what are Chrome extensions. It's a little scaled, but if you just Google what they are a bundle of zipped files, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and other resources that you need, like images or anything. But the gist is that they're just web applications that we can use, but they have more power. They're built kind of into the browser. They can do more things. But under the covers, they're just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So we know this stuff. We can easily make them. So let's talk about the Chrome extension structure a bit. Everything comes down to this manifest file. If you create a directory and you put a manifest.json file in there, then you can load that as an unpacked extension into Chrome, and it will automatically figure out what it needs to set up and what it needs to do. There's different things that we can add in there. The first one being the name, version, author, and description. The only one out of those that's mandatory, I think, is name. You have to tell it what manifest version you want to use, which we want to use version 2, I think, since like Chrome 4 maybe. The permissions that you want to be able to access from there. So we can do crazy things. We can store things. We can get access to the pages running on any URL. We can do cross-domain AJAX really easily without having to do anything like cores or anything. So you can specify all of your permissions in there, and there's tons that you can add. Then you mentioned different pieces that you want to set up. So you have content scripts that you set up. These run with the pages on your that you load up in Chrome. Background scripts are more longer-lived sessions that you can use for message passing between the different components of your app. And then you can set up things like page actions and browser actions, which I'll get into. And then anything that you want to make accessible to the web from within your Chrome directory, you just put them in the web accessible resources array here. So then this is kind of the structure of it. You have the manifest file, which explains everything, and then from there you kind of have your page over here, and then the page has the content scripts that run within it in a way, and then they can talk to background pages or background scripts, and then from there you can talk to other pieces of your application. So you have DevTools pages, browser actions, and page actions. So let's start by looking at content scripts in a little more detail. So content scripts, you put them in the manifest.json just like this. You can tell it what files that, or what domains that it matches against. So this content script will run on everything that is HTTP, not HTTPS, apparently. And then I can specify things like CSS. So if I want to specify CSS to run on this page, and I want to always style this page in a different way, I can do that here, adding in my own custom CSS really easily. Or I can specify JavaScript, and I can tell it that JavaScript has access to the DOM, and it has limited access to the Chrome APIs, so you can do things like message passing. And you can tell it when you want it to run, so you can have it document start before the rest of the page renders, or a document end after the page is already rendered. But there's one gotcha with this. It doesn't have access to the JavaScript on the page, unfortunately. All it has access to is the page DOM. The page JavaScript and the content scripts both share access to the page DOM, and that's it from that regard. But what we can do is, because we have access to the DOM, we can just use that to inject a new script tag and load in another JavaScript file. So we can do that like this. We want to make that file accessible, so we put it in the web accessible resources array, and then we just inject it. And we use the chrome.extension.getURL method to get the URL to this from within our Chrome directory, within our extension directory, and then it will throw it in there. Then we have those two and they're running, and now we can enable communication between the script that we injected onto the page and the content script. And we just do that using post message, which is the way that you can natively connect and talk to iframes on a page. So we just say window.postMessage, but when we post a message, both the page itself and our content script are going to be alerted, so you have to have some way of distinguishing where it's coming from. So I have in here, when I post a message, I'm saying from the page. This is actually coming from the page. And then inside of my content script, inside of the add event listener, I'm just doing, if it has a data type and the data type is equal to page, then I want to do something with it. In this case, I'm just going to console.log out what it sees. So then we have background slash event pages. And with these background event pages, they have access to all of the Chrome APIs. We enable them like this. We just say background, and it can either be a page, like an HTML page if you need HTML, or it can just be a JavaScript file. So you just specify the JavaScript file that is, and it's either on a background page or it's an event page, depending on whether or not persistent is set to false. If persistent is false, then the event page is only loaded when it's needed, and then it's taken out of memory and its resources can be freed up, so it's not sitting there, your extension is not causing Chrome to lag or take up too much memory. So it'll only come back to life when things send messages to it, then it'll pop back into existence and answer those. So from there, then we can communicate with the background or evented pages from within all of our other scripts, like our content scripts, for example. So instead of the background page, we just say, when we connect, we want to add a listener to that. And then inside of there, we can just say, when we receive a message, we want to do something. So in this example, I'm saying if the message type is equal to get quote, then I want to get a quote, and I'm going to use, it gets this port object, and that's how it communicates back with the script that connected to it. So you can see here inside of the content script, for example, I created a port, and I just connect to it, and I can name it if I want to have different names. So like the content script could be coming from the content script, and I could have a DevTools script coming from the DevTools or whatever. And then I just add a listener in here, and when it posts a message back to that port, this is the listener that will get called back. And so I can do something with that quote in this example. And then I'm sending the message here, I just say port.postMessage, and it sends the message up there. So now I have communication between the script I injected into the actual page. That could be like it being injected into Facebook or MySpace or Zynga or something. And then that can talk to the content script, and then the content script can talk to the background page, and then the background page can talk back to the content script, which can relay back to the injected script. And so the background page can really act as kind of the mediator, just passing messages from one piece to the other. So then we have page action, browser/page actions. So browser actions would be like this. These are those icons that you add up here, whether it's like Pocket or Google Hangouts or Chromecast or John Goodman. You specify that just with browser action, and then you can specify the icons here, and you can have different sizes depending on which size it's going to render, but they are raster icons, so they're PNGs. And then you can specify a default title that will pop up with it, and a default pop-up, and that's just an HTML page that when I click on that, it will open up that HTML page inside of a pop-up there. The other one is page actions. These are the icons that you see inside of the URL bar. And you specify them in the exact same way, and you can specify a pop-up with them. The page actions are meant to be run like specific to certain pages, whereas the browser actions are more kind of just around for your use, like save to Pocket, for example. So what can you do with different types of Chrome extensions? We can apply our own styles. So this is one that I actually have installed, where when I look at Hacker News, this is what it normally looks like, but I have the Hacker News enhancement suite or whatever that makes it look like this, and it's a little bit more functional, just better looking than what that is. And you can easily just apply it like that. You just say content scripts, and you tell it where you want it to match. So at nebraskajs.com, I want to inject in moregoodman.css. You can create your own web technologies or applications built on top of that. So newer versions of Chrome have that application launcher that they put in your bar. I don't know if I can, I'll show it in a second, but you can load up like apps that are built on top of web technologies like this. This is Postman. It's really nice for testing REST routes. So here I'm just hitting the GitHub API and testing it. I'm hitting their Zen, and it gives me back a Zen quote. And you can easily do that when you can just say on runtime, when you're launched, you want to create a window. I want the window to load in this main.html with all of these bounds and min width and height, and etc. So I'm doing that from within the background page, and it can kick off an application like this. You can create DevTools extensions. So we can actually add in our own tabs and even our own sidebars into the DevTools, making it really easy to customize those in a lot of different ways, adding in support for maybe our own frameworks that we're building, or for talking with our applications in some way, or showing more information about our applications in the DevTools, making it really easy. So you just specify the DevTools page. It's a little convoluted to do this, but you specify the DevTools page, which is an HTML file. And then inside of that HTML file, you specify a script. And that's all you do. And then inside of that script is where you actually create everything. So here I'm creating a new panel, a new tab in the DevTools called Goodman Inspector. And then I can create a sidebar element in there as well. So if I ever want to make sure that I know what John Goodman's best movie was, it will tell me right in the sidebar of the Elements panel, for example, and just let me know that. So then when we bring it up, I'm in the Elements panel, and I can see over here that Coyote Ugly is right there, and I can just think about that all day, making my development life a lot easier. So there's a number of extensions. I was trying to do a Google search to try and see who around here has built Chrome extensions. John Hobbs has this domain swap repo on GitHub, and Carl Zuloff has an extensions developer console as well. So check those out. And there's a lot you can do. There's a lot that you can configure. If you start with the manifest file and just look at the documentation for that, there's so much that you can configure, and a lot can go wrong. I was crashing Chrome all day today because it wasn't liking my capitalization, it turned out to be, but that was a problem. But it's really easy. You just have to bang your head against the wall for a while, and you'll have a lot of fun. So, let me show a quick example real quick, since I took the time to build it. I've got this page here. This is just the background to-do MVC page. But, see if I can fit it on the screen here. So, if you can't see it, there is a John Goodman as Colonel Sanders up here, and if I click on this, then it loads that HTML page that just tells me that John Goodman is the goodest, and that's just static, but I need to be reminded of it. And then if I actually open up the DevTools, right away what it's doing is it's going to make a connection to the background page and request a random John Goodman quote, and then it's just going to put it into my console in orange there, so that I can be reminded of what John Goodman, the good stuff, the good word of John Goodman, right there. And if I go into my Elements panel, and I go over here, you can see the John Goodman properties. Maybe if I zoom in a little bit on this, but you can see, he was in Roseanne, in case I forget. And then, as I go down further, I've got a whole Goodman inspector. If I go in here, what?
Zoom out.
John Goodman loves you and thinks your code is awesome. So, if this will be a really helpful extension for you, and if you scroll down a little bit.
Wait, what is that? Is that another web page, or?
This is just a web page. It's not actually running any JavaScript. That's using the marquee tab.
Scroll down, scroll down.
But that's in your DevTools?
Yeah, this is running in the DevTools. So I can actually do anything from within here. And I can take the content scripts, inject code into my pages, have them send messages back to my content script, relay it through the background page to my DevTools, and give me more information. So maybe if I'm using Backbone, for example, there's a Backbone inspector, I think, and there's an Ember inspector, an Angular Batarang. You can use all of those, and it will list out your models and what's in there, and it'll list out your views, and you can click on them, and it'll show you, it'll highlight the views on the page and all of this. So there's really a lot of powerful tools that you can build with that. If I show the code real quick, just real fast, here's the manifest page, and in here I'm just specifying. So we saw the content script. That's just loading in the random quote into the DevTools console, and then I've got my icons there. My background page is just running, sending messages. And if I actually open this, this is kind of cool. The nice thing about building a Chrome extension is that you're only going to run in Chrome. And so I'm using native promises right here, and I'm YOLO, I don't have to care. It's going to work. And so I just get a quote, or I get all of the quotes, and then I return them, and I just pass messages back and forth like that. And then...
there's no API, that's just a JSON file?
For the manifest file?
The Goodman quotes.
Oh yeah, it's just a JSON file, unfortunately. I know.
So I was like,
That's phase two, is
excited.
getting up a whole REST service for John Goodman.
He needs venture capital for that.
Yeah. And then, so I've got my browser action here. That's just setting up, I'm telling it what icons to use, and it's loading up this pop-up URL, which if I go look at the pop-up URL, or pop-up.html, it just says John Goodman is the goodest. The panel page is what's being loaded in there into the DevTools, and you can see the marquee tab in there, and that's it. And then I've just got here where I'm loading in the John Goodman image. And then the other cool thing is if I go to nebraskajs.com, I have a content script loading specific to Nebraska.js, and so it runs, I have it running at document end, so the page is already loaded, and then I can go in and manipulate it in different ways. So Zach has this really cool thing when you hover over the Nebraska.js logo, it fades to a cornfield. Well, that's it. Any questions?
Where can I get that?
Suppose if these, if you're downloading these from somewhat trusted sources, I suppose you have to open them up and make sure they're not going to be keyloggers?
Well, yeah, actually that's the unfortunate thing is when you want to publish this. So if I actually tried, I'm pretty new to this still, but I actually tried creating the Chrome extension file. This .crx is the zipped up version of that. I was hoping that I could just send that to Zach and he could just double click on it and open it. It's completely restricted in Chrome. It can only come from the Chrome Web Store. And to publish it in the Chrome Web Store, you have to do a one-time $5 payment to them to say that you are an actual person or something, I don't know. But I did pay it, but I probably didn't, I don't know, in all of those John Goodman pictures. So I didn't want to put it in there. Anyway, yeah, so that's the thing. You could take this, this code is all on GitHub, you can go download it and just run, oh yeah, I can show that. In here, this is the panel that I was talking about popping up here, the Chrome App Launcher. If you pop that up, these are all the different types of apps. So there's that Postman app. Google has another one called the Extension Developer Tool, and in here you can see all of your extensions and everything. So I can see my Goodman app right here, and I can use this. I can just keep it open and I can reload it. So as I'm making changes, I just push that and reload it. If I want to inspect the background page, it'll open up the DevTools to the background page in the context of that, so I can debug that. And here's where I can pack and uninstall that. But you just say load unpacked, and when you load that up, you go to like your code directory, and anything in here that is like a DevTools extension, you just click on it, and it shows, as long as it has a package, or a manifest.json in there, then it will load up with Chrome. And Chrome will automatically tell you if there's an error in any of the files. It'll say that it's not going to load it, and it actually disables it. You have to go re-enable it. Yeah, so it's pretty secure, I guess. Any other questions? Yeah.
Just curious, what editor were you using?
That was Vent.
Boo.
I saw that and I was
Yes.
like, that's way too sublime. There's even a sidebar. What did you read?
I think you have a Vim video online, right?
Yeah, probably.
From Barcamp a few years ago.
Oh yeah.
So we Google next name and Vim, a
I'll
bunch of
talk
stuff.
all day about Vent.
Propaganda about Vim.
You tried the Chrome extension that's basically a VI editor.
The Vimium one?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that gives you the VI key bindings for navigating Chrome. I had it, and then I think I have it, but it's disabled right now because it was annoying me because it overrides the GitHub shortcuts, so I'm trying to use GitHub and it's broken.
Well, no, there is actually like a code editor.
Oh, no, I haven't used that.
Okay, I'm assuming that you can then, I don't know where the files necessarily, probably on the file system, that you can have like your setup that I'm assuming sync from one Chrome to the other.
Well, that'd be really cool.
I have not used it, but a former coworker might have.
Nice.
That's a good record. Justice?
Yeah. Thank you. All right, thank you.